All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a paradox that is absolutely fascinating. Why is it that the smartest AI, the ones that can write code, pass medical exams, can still feel so clueless in a real business? It all comes down to a problem of context. So we're going to dig into what that really means and why it's the single biggest hurdle for AI in the workplace. Okay, let's just jump right in. Because this quote, it's from some online discussion about AI agents, and it totally nails a feeling I bet a lot of you have had. You see this mind-blowing demo, you get all hyped up, and then you try to use it for your actual job, and the magic just fizzles out. So why does that happen? Well, that gap between the slick demo and your day-to-day reality, it comes down to one critical missing piece: context. You see, an AI agent might be able to do a task you give it, but it often completely forgets decisions you made 5 minutes ago. It misses the bigger picture of what you actually care about, and it ends up feeling less like a smart colleague and more like an intern on their first day, every single day. So what is this context that trips AI up so badly? This is really the heart of the whole problem. We tend to think, oh, it just needs more data. But it's so much more complicated than that. It's not about the what. It's about understanding the why behind it. See, here's the thing. Business context isn't just data points. It is the unique, unwritten logic of your organization. It's all the policies, both the ones in the handbook and the ones everybody just knows. It's the processes that have been patched together over years of trial and error. And it's the history. All the past projects, the reorgs, the spectacular failures that quietly dictates how things get done today. And you're not going to find this stuff in some neat little textbook. No. It's scattered everywhere. It's buried in old Jira tickets, it's hidden in PowerPoint decks from 2015, and a huge chunk of it is just locked away inside people's heads. It's even baked right into your database schemas. Think about it. Why does the word revenue mean one thing to your finance team and something totally different to your sales team? Or why would a senior engineer deliberately pick what looks like a worse technical option because they understand the political landscape? An AI trained on Wikipedia has absolutely no way of knowing any of that. Okay, so we've got a handle on what this context is and where it's hiding. But even if we could just point an AI at all of it, we slam right into a massive technical wall. You have to remember, the AI models we hear about were trained on the relatively clean, organized internet. Real business data is, well, it's the opposite of that. It's a tangled mess. It's spread out across ancient legacy systems, it's got all sorts of inconsistent names for the same thing, and it's stuck in silos where different departments aren't even talking to each other. And this image right here is a perfect illustration of that complexity. This isn't just a simple spreadsheet. This is a map of interconnected ideas from the insurance world. Every single box, every line, represents a business rule, a relationship, a decision someone made years ago. For an AI to get it right, it doesn't just need to read the words on the map. It needs to understand the whole territory. And this complexity, it has some pretty stark, real-world consequences. When you test AI on benchmarks that are actually designed to look like messy business data, the performance just plummets. We're talking accuracy as low as 40%. That's not a gap between the demo and reality. That's a chasm. So what are the smart folks doing about this? Well, one of the most promising ideas is building something called a knowledge graph. You can think of it like a custom-made brain for the AI, a cheat sheet specifically for your business. It explicitly defines your key concepts like policy, claim, and customer, and it maps out how they're all related. It gives the AI the guardrails it desperately needs to make sense of your messy data. But this leads to an even deeper and, honestly, a more unsettling question. What if we did it? What if we built the perfect knowledge graph and gave the AI perfect data? Would the problem finally be solved? Or would we just run headfirst into a much more human barrier? This is where things get really interesting, because now we're peeling back the technical layer and getting to something, well, something human. Because even if an AI could access every single fact, there is a world of difference between knowing facts and having the judgment to use them correctly. It's the reason why technically perfect code can still lead to a terrible business outcome. Look, here's the bottom line. AI is a master of recognizing patterns. It's so good at it that it looks an awful lot like knowledge. But wisdom? That's different. Wisdom is what you get from experience. It grows slowly, through frustration, and through having to deal with the consequences of your decisions. It's something an algorithm just can't feel. And as we start to lean more and more on AI, we risk this really dangerous thing called cognitive outsourcing. Basically, the smarter the system gets, the dumber we allow ourselves to become. We start to lose that gut feeling that something's not quite right, and we lose the ability to question the output or debug the logic when it inevitably goes sideways. And this matrix here, it lays out that risk perfectly. If you're an expert and you're using AI for a routine task, you're golden. That's a massive productivity boost. But look down there in the bottom right, the danger zone. That's when a novice, someone without that deep, earned expertise, uses AI for a task that needs real judgment. They simply can't spot plausible-sounding nonsense because they don't have the experience to know what's wrong.
And this gets us right to the core of the whole issue. Is this missing context problem just a data problem that we can eventually engineer our way out of? Or is it something much more fundamental? Is it a responsibility problem? Now really, think about this for a second. Is business context just a big pile of facts you can download into a system? Or is it something deeper? Is it a kind of wisdom that you can only earn by living with the consequences of your decisions, both the good ones and the bad ones?
And that leads directly to this critical question. An AI has zero skin in the game. It doesn't get a bad performance review when a project goes off the rails. It sees a deadline as a timestamp, not as a source of intense pressure. So if it never feels the consequences, how can it ever truly learn to make the right trade-offs? How can it possibly choose between the technically elegant solution and the one that's politically necessary?
At the end of the day, it's simple. When a decision made with AI goes wrong, the model doesn't get fired. You do. You can't outsource accountability. It always stays with a person.
So, where do we go from here? We're not just going to throw AI out the window, right? The answer isn't to abandon it, but to fundamentally rethink our relationship with it. We need to shift away from this idea of AI replacing us and move toward a model of true hybrid intelligence. This means that in a world powered by AI, our most important job might not be just doing the work anymore, it's teaching the systems how our business actually works. We become the keepers of context, the people who manage the feedback loops that keep the AI grounded in reality. We become the final judge.
And we can build way better systems by focusing on 3 key principles. 1, the system has to remember past conversations, so it's not starting from scratch every time. 2, it has to retrieve information from trusted official sources, not just a random swamp of documents. And 3, most importantly, it has to respect your company's unique rules and processes, the very context we've been talking about.
You can actually think of this as a 3-stage training process for our AI. First is SHU, where we treat the AI like an apprentice and we teach it the basics from our human experts. Then comes HA, where we start a dialogue, actively challenging and correcting the AI's output. And finally, we get to RE, where we evolve into a true partnership, and the AI is there to amplify our judgment, not replace it.
And that leaves us with one last kind of unsettling thought to chew on. With all this talk about the limitations of AI, maybe the biggest danger isn't the AI's blindness to our world. Maybe the real risk is our own blindness in assuming that it sees our world the same way we do.